According to Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, about 29 million people in the United States have diabetes. In 2016, 635,260 Americans died from heart disease, and 598,038 people died of cancer. Tonight, I will be discussing how a diet high in meat consumption can promote the growth of chronic diseases. So there's a common thread between all these chronic diseases, and that thread is inflammation. There are two different types of inflammation, acute and chronic. Acute is short-term, chronic, long-term. Paul DiCorletto, he's an expert in cardiovascular biology. He wrote an article in 2014 where he was explaining the connection between inflammation and disease. He stated that uncontrolled inflammation plays a role in almost every major disease. These diseases include heart disease, cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, and even depression. Michael Greger, he's an American physician. In 2016, he wrote an article on dietary cholesterol. He stated that a single meal of meat can trigger an inflammatory reaction inside the body within hours of consumption. The U.S. National Library of Medicine explains that cholesterol can also play a part in this. Dr. Colin Campbell, you guys might have heard of him, he wrote the book called The China Study. He describes the link between dietary cholesterol and blood cholesterol levels in his book. So, cholesterol is essential to our bodies. It does a lot of things. It can aid in hormone production and helps us digest food. Your body makes all the cholesterol that it needs. Dietary cholesterol is different from cholesterol. So dietary cholesterol is only obtained by consuming animal products, such as meat, dairy, eggs, that sort of thing. Dietary cholesterol can increase blood cholesterol levels, which Colin Campbell talks about in his book, The China Study. When we consume too much meat in our diet, it can raise our blood cholesterol levels. And if our blood cholesterol levels are too high, it can contribute to the development of diabetes and other chronic diseases. So the National Center for Biotechnology published a study that concluded U.S. meat consumption is more than 3 times the global average. Red meat is the largest amount of meat consumed in the U.S., and 22% of meat consumed in America is processed meats, things like hot dogs and lunch meats. The World Health Organization classified these two types of meat, red meat and processed meats, as carcinogenic, or in other words, cancer-causing agents. Our discretion and decisions regarding our diet greatly affect our health. Our level of meat consumption can determine our physical health. And it is safe to say that a diet high in meat consumption can negatively affect our health and lead to the growth of chronic disease. Thank you.